Yo, what is up? I didn't think of a song. I'm blue and my shirt is blue and the background is blue and everything is blue. Here's a different video. Today I'm going to do a little story. I'm going to read a story from the Free Thought Project. It's an article by Matt Agorist, and it's about qualified immunity. I also did a second video today about Captain David Wheeler from Fort Lauderdale Sheriff's Office. Big Nick, South Florida Accountability, ran into him. He kept trying to intimidate him, and he made a shocking admission at the end of the video, so please go to John Felix Presents, link in the description, and watch that. In the meantime, we're going to read an article to you about qualified immunity. This is from Matt Agorist, the Free Thought Project. Despite majority of U.S. calling for end to qualified immunity, feds tell Americans it's here to stay. Last year marked a turning point in American policing after the death of George Floyd. Though Floyd's death at the hands of police was hardly unique, it was not in vain, as it proved to be the iconic moment Americans were waiting for to push back against massive police state that has been constructed around them. Multiple states and counties across the country took action to curb the problem of excessive force in the ranks of their police departments by ending qualified immunity for cops. But short of sweeping change inside federal government, meaningful national reform remains stagnant. Qualified immunity is a court decision, Harlow versus Fitzgerald, where basically a cop just needs to do whatever he feels is right, and he'll get qualified immunity in case he was wrong. And there's some other stipulation, but it's BS. It's basically just do what you want, we'll take care of you. That's where the whole blue line came to be. After massive proposals from Congressman Justin Amash and Senator Rand Paul, who wanted to end qualified immunity and no-knock warrants respectively, were largely ignored by the masses, mostly due to the fact that Amash and Ron Paul lean right. Oh my God. The left came in and promised to fix things, but once again, actual change is off the table. It was reported this week by Politico that lawmakers behind the police reform negotiations, Senator Tim Scott, Senator Cory Booker, and Representative Karen Bass, are no longer considering changes to the problem with qualified immunity. Although disappointing, this should come as no surprise given the fact that the DNC nominated Queen of the Police State Kamala Harris for vice president, but it certainly flies in the face of what we the people are demanding. We want qualified immunity to be done, victimless crimes over with, etc. Last year, a poll from the Pew Research Center found that majority of Americans support removing qualified immunity for cops, and it's obvious as to why they do. Under the doctrine of qualified immunity, any government official who violates your constitutional rights is shielded from civil action. This heavily flawed legal loophole has emboldened bad cops to unleash horrific violence and corruption on the American public without fear of being sued. The Free Thought Project has reported on qualified immunity protecting cops who have committed atrocious crimes up to and including shooting innocent children. Jamar Nicholson Green learned about qualified immunity the hard way when a trigger-happy cop opened fire on him and a group of friends as they freestyle rapped on their way to school. Green and his friends had committed no crime and were unarmed when LAPD officer Michael Gutierrez opened fire. But thanks to qualified immunity, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 9th District ruled that Gutierrez was protected from a lawsuit for opening fire on kids that were freestyle rapping on the way to school. He got qualified immunity for that. When you could shoot an innocent child in the back and be shielded from liability, it is no surprise cops will do anything to make sure they keep their doctrine safe, up to and including blatantly lying. As we reported last year, police union leaders across the country took to blatantly lying to protect qualified immunity for cops. The National Association of Police Organizations, NAPO, submitted a letter to Congress to explain their opposition to George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, which would have eliminated qualified immunity for law enforcement officials. The letter falsely claimed that if this doctrine is ended, cops can go to jail simply for doing their job. So, what he admitted there is the job they're trained to do now violates the law. If a cop doesn't have qualified immunity and doing his job would land him in jail, He's doing his job wrong, and he's not doing it according to the law. The letter was written and signed by William F. Johnson, NAPO's executive director and general counsel. Given Johnson's history as a former prosecutor, the idea of him claiming he is unaware that qualified immunity is a civil doctrine and not used to bar criminal prosecution of cops is either glaring incompetence or blatant misinformation, as the Cato Institute's J. Schweikert pointed out. He didn't just say in the letter to Congress either. Johnson doubled down on his falsehoods in an interview with the Washington Times. You've got federal lawmakers proposing federal law that says even when the federal law is so unclear as to be unknowable by any reasonable officer, that officer can still go to prison for an unintentional act unknowingly broke an unknown law. Oh, welcome to our world, piglets. You bust us for laws we don't know all the time. You bust us for laws you make up that don't even exist. But qualified immunity has nothing to do with legal cases. It is for civil suits. The civil aspect was also used as a point of propaganda by the National Sheriff's Association, who put out a message last month on NAPO with the headline, "Urgent Action Needed. Senator Booker proposes horrible police reform bill." In that letter, police again falsely claimed that if qualified immunity is removed, anyone can sue any cop over anything and win. But they are either sorely mistaken or blatantly lying, as qualified immunity does not determine the outcome of a civil suit. It merely protects bad cops and other state actors in court by forcing the plaintiff or victim to prove that the violation of their rights must have previously been ruled unconstitutional in a prior court precedent. That's another reason some courts won't even make a ruling, because it'll set a precedent. While that sounds completely crazy, it actually happened. The Free Thought Project reported last year Ray Norris, 81 years old, was sitting at home one night when incompetent cops raided his home, throwing a flashbang grenade inside. As the explosion blew out the windows and lit up the inside of his house like a fireball, deputies with the Henry County Sheriff's Office Special Response Team smashed down his door with a battering ram. Norris was not wanted for a crime, and his name and address were not on the warrant. Cops simply got lost, blew up his house just because they could, and because qualified immunity, the officers involved were shielded from liability because they didn't know how to use GPS. I remember seeing that video. When cops can shoot kids in the back, blow up the homes of innocent elderly men, and not be sued for it, we have a major problem in America. So no matter the promised reform that comes out of the Senate negotiations, so long as changes to qualified immunity remain off the table, we can expect more of the same. And there you go. That's Matt Agaris from the Free Thought Project. So what do you think of this style of video? I hope you like it. Figured I'd try it. Blah, blah, blah. Please subscribe to John Felix Presents. I'm going to be giving away an $80 beautiful flashlight as soon as I hit 1,000 subs. And love you long time. And that's it. Have a good day. Bye.